This is not going to be a nice video. Michelle's drunken abusiveness gets his ass kicked off the boat. Captain Lexi ends up alone on WildChild, far from home. This will not be a nice video. The last you heard, WildChild was safe at the wonderful Cape Canaveral Yacht Club. Eventually our time was up and we left there and we headed down to West Palm Beach. I'd love to show you video footage of the sail, but Monkey deleted all of those. He also deleted all of the video footage from our 3-day stay in West Palm Beach, and there were some cool stories I'd love to tell you. Like, I got to see a manatee for the very first time. We had some amazing video footage of the manatee, but of course, it's all deleted. Oh yes, and then there's the story of the one and only time that WildChild dragged away on her anchor. Some other motorboat must have come by and run over our anchor ball on our trip line and unset our anchor, and WildChild drifted away. We had video footage of that as well, but of course, the monkey deleted that too. Oh yeah, and the story of the American Fish and Game Police pulling us over on the water in our dinghy for not having navigation lights on in our dinghy in the daytime. All stories I'd love to tell you that I carefully documented, but I can't because somebody deleted and lost all the footage. It was in early February 2019 when WildChild left West Palm Beach, made her way across the Gulf Stream, and finally arrived in Paradise in the Bahamas. But of course, all that footage is missing as well. Since we had arrived at Cape Canaveral at the end of December, Michelle had been drinking alcohol every day and arguing with me every day that he's not an alcoholic, he just wants to drink alcohol every single day, that it's part of his French culture and I need to just accept it and it's no big deal. And when he drinks, his inner anger and frustration comes out and his compulsive need to argue just goes through the roof. He just needs to argue with me every day over every little thing. Good morning guys, it's Friday, February 1st. We actually made our crossing, I think on Tuesday night to Wednesday. We got in there Wednesday night. Tuesday night we got into there, we anchored, we woke up early the next morning, we made it across here to Great Sail Key, which is just sort of a sheltered anchorage. We had winds from there to kind of there. Our original goal was to check in at Green Turtle Key, which is sort of way over here, but the winds were honking out of the east yesterday, and even now they're still east-northeasty, so it's really not good for us to go to Green Turtle Cay to check in. But the problem is you can't wait forever to check into the Bahamas. You have to you're supposed to go within 24 hours. The Bahamas are awesome and they were everything they promised to be. The place was wonderful, just like a sailor's paradise. We checked in and cleared customs and we paid for a 6-month stay. We thought, this is it, we finally arrived in the promised land. The Bahamian people are so nice and so very friendly. We've wandered around through many of their towns and said hello and met with many of them. They are such a nice people. The sunrises and sunsets were usually beautiful. Yep, the water was every bit as amazing and clear as everybody said that it would be. It was wonderful to swim in crystal clear waters as warm as a bath. WildChild was safe. WildChild could anchor pretty much anywhere she wanted, and she really didn't have many worries. But all was not well with the crew. I was truly and deeply unhappy inside, which of course made Michelle unhappy, which made him behave worse and make me more unhappy. For the month of February and March, I remember begging him constantly to please stop sabotaging things, please stop arguing, please stop drinking, please stop being angry, please stop fighting, please stop destroying. our dream, all to no avail. Have you ever heard the saying that if you know how the journey will end, you are not on an adventure? We got storms coming, the wind's picking up, we've reefed the main down to 30%, or the Jenny down to 30%, main's still full. No reefing the main, the storm cell's coming over us, the wind direction's shifting, and it's
21/7.
We're 21 knots of wind over 7 knots of speed with only 30% Jenny out. Good news is we're making distance, bad news is we're both on deck, and this requires we pay attention. When you sail through a storm cell, it's not a strong or distinct cell, but... And here's the thing, so I know myself really well, and I know that I never want to be sailing alone on my 40-foot race boat in the ocean. I think it is crazy to be a solo sailor out here, and I've met many of them, and I think they're all nuts. I think solo sailing in the ocean is a scary and terrible idea, and I know that I would hate it. I would never want to be sailing through a storm by myself. WildChild is a race boat designed for a crew of 6. I definitely wouldn't want to be a girl alone sailing through a storm. That's crazy, even though other people do it. And we're okay, like, WildChild's a great girl in an amazing sailboat, which is why we love this girl so much. She can do it. We just don't want to get knocked down by a sudden gust of 25 or 30 knots of wind. That's not fun. Like, we've had that before, we've done it. We've been knocked down by 30, 40 knots of wind.
And we don't like it.
And we don't like it. Like, we've kind of had enough of getting our asses kicked by mom. And that's what we mean. 7, great, WildChild's happy, going like about an People really don't appreciate that I, Captain Lexi, I'm actually a really good sailor. I'm an amazing captain, and WildChild's made it this far all because of me. And despite the fact that I have a crew that sabotages me, that does the wrong thing, the opposite thing, that argues and fights and makes my life more difficult, but I still don't want to be alone on the boat. But is it better to sail alone than to sail with a monkey that sabotages you? Turns out the answer is yes.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful sailing where we were at, where were we? What was the point name?
Man o' War Key.
Yeah, but the point was another name, but anyway, Man o' War Key, and scuba diving was fabulous, but now the wind will change, as Lexi was saying. So now we're going to Marsh Harbor. We'll tuck in and maybe we'll go and visit Marsh Harbor. It's supposed to have a
When any couple is trapped together 24/7 on a yacht in the ocean, it's stressful. Any tiny flaw or annoyance in the relationship will only be amplified. So make sure your relationship's really solid before you leave with your husband or your wife to go sailing. And make sure you know how your partner will react in a stressful situation, that you two can still function as a team. Michelle's behavior is at its worst when things are stressful and dangerous. He becomes a stubborn, pig-headed, argumentative donkey and always makes stressful situations worse. The stress on me of having to fight him and fight to save the boat, it just became too much to bear. If I said, please tighten the starboard Jenny sheet, he'd argue with me and then do the opposite, almost every time. Despite the fact that we were in paradise and I have the love, patience, and forgiveness of Saint Teresa, Michelle just kept escalating and wearing me down. What has been interesting for me during this experience, this lowest point in my life, is how much people need to blame me, the victim, for the abuser's behavior. Michelle's a really nice, sweet guy, Lexi. It's all your fault because you're a bitch to him. But they just never see his behavior. He hides it well. wandered around the northern Abacos of the Bahamas for all of February and into March, trying to make the best of things. After all, we were in paradise. Everything was perfect. There was nothing wrong. But Michelle just wouldn't calm down. The Bahamas were lovely, beautiful, and a fabulous place to be, and I just kind of stopped reacting to Michelle's need to argue. I just didn't give in. I was calm, peaceful, and centered. So he kept escalating. Until one day in March in Marsh Harbor. It was a few days after this video was taken. WildChild was safely anchored in Marsh Harbor. I don't really want to talk about it. I'm tired of it. It is way, way, way in my past, and I'm sick to death of it. If you're curious, you can go check out the website. Go back into the blog history and look for things in March and April about Monkey. And then there's a little more you can read later on in July or June when the death threats came. I may joke around about being Captain Chicken and made out of chicken meat because I'm very emotionally sensitive. But in my core, have no doubt, I am a powerful, dominant alpha female, and I'm not going to eat shit from anybody. And when he thought he could lay hands on me in a rage, that's where he thought wrong. On the night of the incident, WildChild was parked right there. I had to escape the violence of Michelle's rage in the dinghy in the dark, and I went over to a nearby sailboat with my friends Paul and Anna Marie on it. Paul kind of explained it to me like this. Lexa, you're in paradise, but your boat is covered in vomit. It smells bad. There's no way for you to enjoy sailing until you get the vomit off the boat. Be strong, girl. Go home and get the vomit off your boat. The next morning, I returned to WildChild and I did exactly that. I came home and told Michelle, that's it, that's too far, you get your ass off my boat. It may have cost me $21,000 of my own money to buy out any share or claim that he might have had on WildChild. And now I was alone on the boat. My biggest fear come true. You can't imagine my emotional devastation. Holy crap. This is a big boat and I'm all alone and I am far from home and I'm all by myself and I don't have any income. Whatever am I gonna do? How am I gonna survive this? I was so lost I cried for a week, I'm not kidding. Literally cried every day for a week. Devastated and broken.